Hello, everyone.
Hello.
So yeah, my name is Gabriel. I'm 22 years old, and I'm a returned student missionary from the Middle East. But during my 1 year, I also got to minister in a number of other countries, including Turkey, Qatar, and Iraq, all of which are in the 1040 window. This is a 1040 window. It's 10 degrees south and 40 degrees north latitude. In this 1040 window contains the majority of the world's unevangelized countries and people groups. So Jesus says in Matthew chapter 28, verse 19, he says, "Go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you." Now when Jesus says all nations here, the Greek words that he used were ta ethne, meaning ethnic groups or people groups. And so to give you a better understanding of what I'm trying to convey, we'll use Pakistan as an example. Pakistan is one nation, but ethnically, it has over 400 different people groups. Whether it's because it's divided by language, identity, history, or religion. And so a people group is considered unreached if they have no churches, there's no Christians that are evangelizing and making disciples. They have no gospel tracts, no Bibles, no radio stations, none of that. And because they have no resources and there's no Christians, that means that they have no access to the gospel. Christianity cannot spread. And approximately if there's less than 2% of evangelical Christians, then it's considered an unreached people group. 72% of the world's missionaries are going to places that already have access to the gospel. 25% are going to places that have access to the gospel but reject Jesus. And only 3% of our total missionary force is going to the unreached people groups. And so, Jesus says in Matthew chapter 24, verse 14, "And this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come." So we're all waiting for the end to come, but the gospel must first be preached in all the world. How can this happen when 41% of our entire world population is still unreached? And so because of this, we need to share the gospel. But just to let you know, right now, this gospel is advancing rapidly. Just in our generation alone, there's more salvation compared to the previous generations before us combined, just in our generation. And so here is the movement of the gospel to the unreached people groups. As you can see, there's not a lot of time left. And this is why we need to share the gospel. And so, we are the light of the world. Wherever we go, darkness flees. Amen? And because of that, that's one of the main reasons why I chose to do missions in the 1040 window. Precisely the Arab world, where most people consider it to be the most darkest and hardened to the gospel, simply because of one thing, Islam. Now, if you don't know, Islam, it's evil, it's counter Christianity. And I won't go too deep into that, but there are a few things that I would like for you to know about Islam and Muslims. For us Christians, we have the religious right and freedom to believe and follow Jesus. But Muslims, they don't have that right. They are Muslim because they were born a Muslim. They're born into a Muslim family. That makes them Muslim. It's their identity. It's more than their religion. It's their culture. Everything surrounding them is Islam, Islam, Islam. Here in the United States, there are many people from different religious backgrounds, but in the Middle East, every country, almost every country has a Muslim population of 99%. And so that means for any Muslim to convert to Christianity, it means that they're alone. There's no one with them, and they're leaving their identity as a Muslim. Like, they're leaving their culture, they're leaving everything behind. And for them, they have this mindset where it's like, if you're not a Moroccan, if you're a Moroccan, then you must be Muslim. If you're an Egyptian, then you must be Muslim. If you're Jordanian, you must be Muslim. Their identity as a Muslim is like me being half Korean, half German. And so this is their perspective on their identity. As it's more than just religion to them, it's who they are. And so when a Muslim converts to Christianity or any religion, if they leave Islam, they face disownment from parents, total and complete rejection from their community around them, and they'll persecute you. They will kill you if you don't convert back to Islam. This is what the Quran teaches, their holy book. Here's some pictures for that our team was evangelizing to. This is our house, and this is our church. And I just want to share a quick story. In the Muslim culture, it's Muslim culture to invite people to your home to show, so that they can show great hospitality. And but before I go into that, Jesus said we based our ministry in Morocco. We based our ministry on Luke chapter 10, which Jesus sends out his disciples. He says, "Take nothing with you. Enter a house, and when you enter this house, say to them, 'Peace be unto you.' And then eat whatever they serve, drink whatever they serve, heal the sick, and proclaim that the gospel is near unto you." And so, it's Muslim culture to invite you into their home and show the greatest hospitality that they can. And they do this so that they can earn points to go to heaven. They have this reward system. And so a lot of times, me and my team, we would go in the streets or in the marketplace, anywhere, and these people would come to us and they would ask us they'd strike up a conversation with us just so that they can invite us to their home. And a lot of times, this one guy will invite us, and then another person will see this person inviting us, and he will see that we're foreigners, which is like bonus points. He'll try to invite us as well, and they will start fighting, and it's the most craziest thing, because these people, they'll invite us, and then all these other people will try to stop these two people from fighting, since they're both inviting us. And then the whole marketplace becomes chaotic. This has happened many times. And then in Muslim culture, like especially in the marketplace, the women, they wear this thing called the burqa, which covers their entire body. There's no skin showing, even their hands, even their face. You can't see their eyes because it's covered, but they can see through. And so during all this chaos that these people are fighting, and some of them don't even know why they're fighting, but they're looking for their wives. They lose where their wives are, and they don't know which one is their wife because all of them are wearing this burqa. And so they're calling like, "Khadija, where are you?" You know, like they checked under the veil and they're stabbed. And this has happened many times. And so once we get inside this house, they have nothing. They literally have nothing. They just have like these pillows against the wall, this one carpet that covers the whole room, no couches, maybe a small TV. And a typical Muslim family consists up to 8 members, sometimes up to the latter 20s, because they're able to marry 4 women and have them as wives. So they have lots of children. And when we enter this house, we greet the entire family. Now the Muslims, they have this universal greeting that they use everywhere. No matter where you go, if you meet a Muslim, they will say to you, "Salam alaikum," which means peace be unto you. This is their Muslim greeting. Now when we enter this house, what is the thing that Jesus says to do when you enter the house? You say, "Peace be unto you." And if Jesus says, "Say to them, peace be unto you," and if they are a man of peace, your peace will rest on them. If not, then it will return to you. So we say salam alaikum to them, peace be unto you. That's amazing that Jesus says that, and we still have this culture in the Middle East that does that. And so, when we enter the house, the family will send out their daughters to go and buy ingredients for food. And then the mother will start cooking up this huge feast just for us. This is every household that we go into. And then we'll eat and we share the gospel with the entire family. And then when I check the fridge, the family has nothing. They sent their daughter out to buy this food with what little money they have. Another time, I was walking in the house and I see this little chicken tied up to a tree in their front lawn. And we get served this chicken dinner. And then when I'm done in the house, after we've preached the gospel to them, we've established a connection, I leave the house and this chicken is gone. So they used this one chicken that they had just for us. See, eating is a very important picture in the Muslim culture. If you eat with them, you become family. And they show you this great hospitality. And so Jesus, he says to eat and drink whatever is set before you twice in this chapter. He really emphasizes it. Now, I have a funny story. One family, they invited us, and we went inside their home, and they cooked up this nice, delicious, red, spicy soup, right? And when they give me my bowl, I noticed that there was this dead cockroach floating on top of my soup. Worse than that, it was pregnant, and it had eggs. And so I'm starting to sweat, and I'm getting really nervous. My team, they know how much I hate cockroaches. And so I have this internal conflict rising in me. Do I eat this soup with this cockroach, or do I show this family? And if I show this family, they will feel so hurt because they'll feel like they didn't do their duty as a Muslim to show great hospitality. And so I take the soup, and I pray, and I say, God, this one is for you. And so what my plan was, I was going to take my spoon and stir this cockroach into my soup so that I won't know when I eat it, right? When I take my spoon and I touch this cockroach, the cockroach dissolves into cockroach powder. And it gets all over my soup. Now I'm dying here. And my team is trying to hold their laugh, and the family is wondering, like, what is going on? Is the soup so spicy that I'm sweating so much? So I take the soup, I dump it all over my face. It slathers all over my face like I wasn't thinking straight. I was so nervous, and I down the soup in 4 gulps. 4 gulps, I down this whole thing. And the family, they loved that because they thought I loved the soup so much. So we had a great time. And they would teach us traditional dances, Moroccan dances, and we continued to share more about Jesus with them. 3 months into my ministry in Morocco, see, we're focusing on speaking Arabic, learning the Arabic language. So our first 3 months were dedicated in learning the language. Also, every day we would still go out and evangelize with what limitations we had in the language. But after 3 months, I was walking to the park, and I was very sad, very depressed. I felt like I didn't know what I was doing. Our team didn't see a lot of fruit. And so I wanted to go home. And as I was walking, I was weeping. And I remember I said to God, God, you need to give me a soul. And then as I'm walking, 5 minutes later, this guy comes up to me. He grabs me, and he puts his hands on my shoulder. He has the most serious look on his face, and he says to me, you need to tell me about Jesus. You need to tell me about Jesus. And he has this firm grip. He won't let go. He's so serious. And I'm taken back by this. I don't know what to do. So he walks me to the bench. We sit down, I clear my head, and then I start sharing the gospel with him. And he's so open. He's taking in everything that I say. His eyes are locked onto me and everything that I'm saying. And then we establish this friendship. He becomes my best friend immediately. And I go to his house very often. I meet his family. His family cooks all this food for me every time I go there. And I work around with his dad in the shop that he owns right next to their house. I'd help them build stuff and sell things. And so I really got to know this family. And I'll just call this soul Hassan. That's an Arabic name. And so after 1 month, I was sleeping at home, and I remember in the middle of the night, I think it was like 3 a.m., me and my teammates, we hear this loud knock on our door. And so we're surprised. We open the door, and there comes Hassan rushing in, and he's weeping, and he's crying. And I say, what's wrong? What happened? His parents found the Bible that our team gave him in a drawer. And they noticed that he stopped going to the mosque 5 times a day to pray. And so they figured that he was a Christian, and they disowned him. They kicked church with us, right? And so we would worship God together. And this church, we would teach them also to evangelize. and go and make disciples. And so through Lahsan, he made his own disciple, and those disciples right now, I just had a recent update, through his own disciples that he discipled, they are making their own disciples. So there's this duplication process going on. It's amazing. They're having this huge church. And so, with his disownment from his parents, it was very sad. His father is also the imam, which is the Muslim priest or the pastor of that area. So his family is highly revered, highly respected. And when his parents found out that he became a Christian, they were broken. And then news got around to a couple of individuals, and they were searching out after Lahsan to try and convert him back to Islam. If not, they would kill him. And every 3 months, our team would go on a visa trip to Spain in order to extend our time in Morocco, and the very next day we would return. But during one of our visa trips, the police found out that we had a church going on in our house. This was an underground church in our house. And the police raided our house. They took everything that we had, every Bible, gospel tract, every document, and they took Lahsan, put him in prison, and they beat him. They beat him, and they threatened to rape him if he doesn't convert back to Islam. And in one of our bags, we had over 50 Bibles, and the police found us. And so they contacted the police that detained us on the port to Morocco, and they started to question us. Like, what are you doing here? What is your goal here? Why do you have so much Bibles? Why are you here? And so our team we were very afraid. And they put on the Moroccan newspaper, they headlined us, they had all our names on this newspaper, including Lahsan. And they called us terrorists. They said we're terrorists. And because they called us terrorists and they had our names on it, especially his, the whole town found out that Lahsan is a Christian. And now Lahsan, he doesn't have a place to go back to since we're gone. We got deported. We got deported from Morocco. And so he doesn't have a place to return to. He's homeless. So right now, even at this moment, he has nowhere to go. And he has no family to return to. He has no body. No body of Christ that he can be with. And his whole town wants him dead. So he's constantly on the run. And even now, when I try to contact him and see how he's doing and try to encourage him, he says to me, Ilyas is my Arabic name. He says, Ilyas, ana astadad al-difal daman. That means, don't worry about me. I'm ready to pay the price. And that just stirs faith into me so much, because regardless of his persecution, everything that he faces, he is setting his eyes on Jesus, and he's still continuing to preach the gospel wherever he goes, on the run. He has nowhere to sleep, no friends around him. Everyone in his town knows that he's a Christian. They want him dead. And just to hear that he is continuing to share the gospel with people and evangelizing, it's incredible. And I just thank God, and I know that God will replant him on solid ground and give him a body that he can be with. So when we were deported, we had a choice. Should we end our ministry, or should we continue our ministry in a different nation? And our team decided to continue in Egypt. And Egypt is a whole other story. I don't have that much time, but Egypt, unlike Morocco, which is a 99% Muslim country, Egypt has a Christian population of 10%. 10%. And God is really using this 10%, and He's encouraging them to share the gospel with other people. There's revival going up in Egypt. And I hear stories from my other friends that are in Egypt. They are meeting people. I don't know if this is true, but this is what I'm hearing and what my team is experiencing there. They hear stories of Christians who are rising up, and they're saying in the middle of the street, they're proclaiming that Jesus is God, and then they share the gospel, and then immediately God takes them away. Like they just disappear in front of all these Muslims' eyes. And I'm hearing all these incredible stories about what is going on in the Middle East. This isn't just happening in Egypt. This is happening in Iran and Syria, all different kinds of places. So really, revival is happening in Egypt. People are getting really bold in sharing the gospel. So I'm out of time. This is our church. This is a dinner that we had together. And these 7 people are the people that Lassan preached the gospel to, and they accepted. And now, back at Morocco, these people are making their own disciples, and they have a church established, which is incredible. Now, I'd like to just end with a video. This is, we'll call him Horzing. This is Horzing. He lives, we have to take a 5-hour bus ride just to go to where he lives. We met him in my town. We were just evangelizing, and we met him. We preached the gospel to him. He accepted immediately, and he invited us to go to his house. So every 2 weeks, we would ride on this 5-hour bus ride to go to his place, because he has no body of Christ that can disciple him and mentor him. And he's so precious. That's why we would go and take this 5-hour long bus just to go and see him, because it's so worth it. I'd like to end with a video. I've talked about my ministry. I'd like for you to see it. Then, once the video is up, Pastor, you can